All right, appreciate everything. Go to my notes. All right, so how'd you get started, Coach?
A mentor of mine is the varsity head coach for this program here at Southeast Raleigh High School, and I started off as his assistant, and I guess he saw my work, and he asked me to head up the JV program here.
Nice. Okay, great. Excuse me. So how long have you been coaching?
This is my third year coaching.
Third year.
Yes, sir.
Basketball. Yeah.
Basketball.
For
JV basketball. Yes, sir.
Great. And why basketball?
Well, it's a challenge for me. Obviously, I played in high school, and I follow it. But football. I play football at the collegiate level,
Right.
and so it's pretty easy for me to play football or coach football. I wanted a challenge, and I want to learn something every single day, and that's what I'm doing now. I'm finding different ways to train young men.
Right.
I'm finding different ways to talk to them, and that's really why I'm doing it. It's for the hands-on experience with developing young men.
Great. That's great. I know another friend of mine. He's the head coach over at Lake Tech. He played football at State, and I was like, it's so crazy how you coaching basketball, but yet, you doing football, throughout your lifetime.
Absolutely.
It's crazy. So how is your typical practice?
Well, we start with the stretch, obviously. Prepare their bodies and the ligaments for the conditioning. We do a lot of running. Our games are full steam ahead. We pick up full court. It's a lot of teaching. We just finished a 2.5-week tryout, and we've just ran right into games. So we really had a lot of practice time now. But we do. I think we've had 4 games in 6 days, and then the 2 days between were weekends, and we don't practice on weekends. So we do a lot of individual drills, but then we finished the practice with the scrimmage, and a lot of team orientation. Concepts that'll help them prepare them for game time situations.
That sounds great. Because I remember growing up in high school, every time we would do game time situations toward the end, type scrimmage thing, and then we always would run, especially toward the beginning of the school year. We run, try to get that condition.
Yes, sir. Basketball is tough.
Yeah. So what skills and ability do you need to be a coach?
I would say patience is one. I'm 26 with the gray hair. So patience is a big one. The willing to develop. I believe you can't just go out there and coach the game. You have to be willing to actually mold young men into what they're preparing for in the future. I believe athletics, any type of sport, will prepare an individual or a young person for what they have in store in their future. And I feel like if you're not ready for your future, or if you're not able to conduct or handle your future or what you're going through now, you can't, handle or lead these young men or young women, if you coach a female sport, into that passage or that lead.
That's great. So your passion, you have a passion, of course, for basketball.
Yes.
Well, sports in general, correct? And you have a passion for kids. You think you'll be doing this for this level for quite some time?
Well,
regarding your passion.
I feel like this level is the appropriate level. Seeing basketball now, the youth aren't really taught the skill sets. I was just talking to Mr. Netta, that you know. And we were talking about just the fundamentals of basketball. I say basketball because, this is the sport I coach. The fundamentals aren't taught at a young age anymore.
You're exactly right.
So I feel like I probably will stay here. I do a summer program. I'm an assistant coach with Red Storm. We put some guys in D1 as well. So the fundamentals are big, but I'm also into the youth. So I think I'll stay here.
That's nice. I had another question I just thought of, but I'll come back to it. What skills and ability do you think will help with your success, to be a successful coach?
I would go back to the passion. Passion and patience. As long as you're willing to deal with the little mistakes, because these guys, they don't know, if you would go to the collegiate level,
Right.
they don't know, the certain cuts or the read and react and things like that where you can just play basketball.
Right. Right.
You actually have to be out there and be a teacher of the game.
You know, every little thing.
Every little thing.
minor thing, yeah.
So when
Especially at this level.
Right, exactly. And so when I get tired of teaching the little things, I think I'll leave. I'm not going to hold out like Jordan did, but I think I'll leave when I'm tired of teaching the game.
Right. Gotcha. What do you think are the toughest issues you have to deal with?
Well, we on the varsity level, we just suspended 3 seniors for conduct. So I believe that's a big issue at this level, is being able to cater to the individuals where you don't want to kick them off and lead them astray, but also, molding their mind to think at a different level than a regular student, because you're not a regular student. You have a lot more eyes on you, looking for you to fail.
That's true.
Because you are an athlete.
Level,
Right.
Yeah. Once you get, to the high level, it's
Even worse. And we see it every day in the professional realm, but I believe that I guess it's the mindset, developing the mindset away from, just being a regular student.
Right.
Because you're not a regular student anymore.
Right.
You have different responsibilities, schoolwork,
That's true.
attendance. You have to be on your P's and Q's at all times. So.
Student athlete.
Right.
Student athlete.
Absolutely.
So, what are some ways do you think you can help them build and mold their mindset for them?
Well, now what I'm realizing is you have to build that relationship with each individual child or kid, teenager. I say teenager.
Right.
You can't have one set or one way of doing things. You have to be flexible. I have to treat you differently than I treat, Johnny over here.
Right.
Because you may not respond the same way. And so I have to be able to be flexible and almost put myself in their shoes so I can relate to them a lot better. And so I think that's just the issue. I guess you kind of find yourself being at the high school level, because they're still trying to find themselves, and they're lost as well, and they need some guidance. So.
They do. Yeah. So, you told me some of the solutions to the issues, like some of the things that you feel like were better that type of issue.
No, I think taking it away from them. We don't ask these young men to come play. They volunteer their services, if you will. And so this is what they want to do. And so, like we said, we suspended 3 seniors for the entire month of November.
Oh, wow.
And so their mindset has been molded around, okay, well, Coach Graves has this expectation from us.
Right.
And so we have to fall in line or either transfer. And so I feel the fear of loss is one way. Obviously, talking through your issue or what you have is another way, because you may not realize what you've done. And so I say those 2 things are key. And we can go into more, but I believe if you can do those 2 things, the fear of loss, taking something away without jeopardizing your team. And so we don't care how our program is higher than an individual being successful and playing and doing what he wants to do. So we hold that really in high regard.
That's good. That's great. That's great to hear. As a head coach, what obligations come outside of practicing games?
Man, fundraising in high school level is big. Dealing with the conduct of the student athlete is big. Building relationships around the school is big. And also the relationships in the community are really big, because without the community, you can't be successful. You won't have a backing.
Support.
Right, and then you also always need finances, so you have to be able to fundraise. So I would say those 4.
What type of fundraising, or what do y'all do with the type of fundraising?
So we do a student faculty game in the spring, and so that's out of season. We do that's in season. We do a jamboree. We scrimmage Word of God, which is right across the street. Right. And so that's always good for us, because you get to bring the community together with one event. We did that. We normally sell food cards. We'll sell some fruit this year. And we'll also buy toys. So we'll give out toys as well. And so just to get our name out there, Southeast Raleigh is doing this for the community. And so that we can just, be aware. Our awareness is out there, and our goals and our vision is out there for the community.
So I'm saying, what do y'all do with that extra?
So you buy your books for a season. You buy your basketballs if you need any. jerseys if necessary,
Right.
nets.
Yeah.
Um,
All the extras.
you're right.
I understand.
All-
I never known that you would need to do those type things to get that extra stuff like the balls,
Right.
and the racks, and
Right.
stuff like that. I never knew.
And
I
say-
thought all that was funded by the school.
Right. I mean, well, it's nice to have your own. So when it comes down to it,
Right.
you can. All right, we can buy books.
Right.
You know, we can buy. Say if we run out of pages, here we go. We
Mhm.
go here. And
Mhm.
so, I believe the school system will help you
Right.
if you need it
Yeah.
because they, you know
Yeah.
you're part of their entity as well. But
Right.
I believe they're allowing for you, you know, to
Mhm.
take care of your own business
Mm.
as if it was a professional team.
Right.
And so that's what we look at it as like.
Good. What do you find most rewarding about the job?
Seeing the young men as they go to college and they say, you know, well, I appreciate everything you've done. You know, I haven't heard during my 3 years because I do both JV and varsity.
Right.
A young man come back and say, well, I wasn't prepared for life.
Right.
And so seeing young men prepared for the next level of college sports and also life
Mhm.
as they go into the real world,
Yeah.
that's rewarding.
Yeah. That's great. That's great. And if it's not too personal, what is the extra like stipend or salary you get from doing
It's based off of your experience.
Right.
I mean, it's enough to do gas money,
Mm.
but it's not really anything major,
Right.
especially at this level. So I mean, it starts generous,
Mm-hmm.
but it's just enough for the season. You know, if you need extra gas money
Right.
to move back and forth, so
Right.
it's not 5,000, 10,000,
Right.
you know, but
Yeah.
it's a couple of thousand,
Okay.
and it's based off of your experience.
Right. Okay. So more experience you get a little more.
Right, you get them more. And then I guess when you get around 20, 30 years,
Mhm.
it kind of levels off.
Oh,
So
okay.
they don't want you.
So, let's go back to the extra stuff you do outside, other than fundraising, because I know it's also filming. Do you do a lot of filming on your own, like as a coach?
Well, we always have, here, we call it almost like an NBA staff. We have
Mhm.
4 or 5 coaches.
Mm-hmm.
We have, 3, 4, 5 managers.
Oh wow.
And then we have a videographer as well.
Right.
And so,
That's pretty.
yeah, so
I never knew y'all do it.
you always need the help.
Yeah.
You know, something I may not see, assistant coach may see.
Mm-hmm.
Managers, you have parents to deal with,
Right.
so you have to deal with the paperwork,
Mhm.
and that's about 20 pages.
Oh wow.
And so, making sure everything is taken care of,
Right.
we would like to have everything or more hands on deck, if you
Mhm.
may.
That's good.
And so I believe we have everything all square, all edges are
That's good.
taken care of.
And I'm reading books regarding coaching and stuff, and the significance of head coaches and them having to delegate certain things on certain people. Do y'all have that?
Yes,
As
absolutely.
assistant coach,
We-
like I want you to do stats. I want you to do, you know what I'm saying?
Well, we have, say, on the varsity level,
Mm-hmm.
we have 2 of them.
Mm-hmm.
We have 2 people to take care of the stats. We have one on the bench that doesn't take care of anything but rebounds,
Mhm.
boxing outs,
Okay.
assists, charges,
Right.
are big on defense,
Mhm.
and also step-ins. And then we also have, your regular stat keeper
Right,
at the
right,
scores
right,
table. And then you have a person to notice who's getting tired,
Mm-hmm.
who can still play our style of basketball. And then we have a disciplinarian,
Mm-hmm.
and then we also have, I'm trying to remember one more. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
So we normally have 2 to each.
Okay.
2 to each responsibility.
That's great. That's
And-
great. That's great. Cause I was an assistant coach for semi-pro team. It was just he was the head and I was the assistant, so it was kind of hard for me to kind of because he didn't delegate anything, so I didn't know exactly what to do. You know what I'm saying? I didn't want to overrule him or overstep him in some of the things. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, like I needed some type of direct, some
Right,
type of
right.
job to do other
Right.
than just being there. It was
A
hard.
figure.
Exactly. It's kind of hard for me, but I mean, I helped out a lot, in ways that I could. But like I said, I didn't want to overstep
Right,
in a lot of ways. But
right.
definitely
Need
experience,
direction.
and it's definitely important to have that, certain delegations. Do you see? What do you see yourself in a few years?
Hopefully here, we have a great system where JV position can lead into the head varsity position, especially with the great man of John H. Baker heading out into his career in the next 2 or 3 years. I've been approached about taking the next position or the head varsity position. And so I see myself being here and carrying on the same tradition that the great man John H. Baker has taken into his realm and making it mine.
That's great. So what type of long-term goals do you have? Like, do you see yourself just being here and having a legacy here, building this program up?
Well, it's not about, I don't think about myself more than I think about the athlete.
Right.
I just want to just help young men, because that's who I deal with, become the best that they can be. And if it's going off to play at the next level, if it's going to, be in school, I just want them to be prepared. Be an extension from the parents that are out here in the community, away from home. And so that's just what I'm interested in. So if it's 5 years, if it's 10 years of doing that, so be it. But I don't want to put a time frame on it. Or I don't want to look at myself and saying, oh, I won this many championships. But the young men are running the streets, are in the jail. And so that doesn't really do anything for the community.
So you just want to build the young men, and,
myself and my legacy.
I understand. That makes sense. I love that. So what type of future do you see for this basketball program as a whole?
The direction that it's heading in now, I believe we're doing a great job at developing young men. It's always been a rich tradition. I graduated in 2006, where we come back and we give back to however we can, whether it's a talk, whether it's just participating and showing something to an athlete. But I believe that it's going to continue. By impacting these young men, they're going to always want to come back to their home and to some place that they've been developed at, and they can, rely on to always be a safe haven. So I believe that seeing it continue doing the same thing it's been doing for, I think, 15, 16 years now.
That's great. That's great. Sorry, try to knock this out. And you say you have a mentor, and your mentor is here.
Yes.
As the head coach.
As the head coach.
The guy that's been here for many years. What's his name again?
John H. Baker III. Yes, sir.
Great.
His father was a sheriff of Raleigh, and he's named after the stadium outside.
Oh, really? Oh, wow. That's great. That's great. Would you refer me to anybody to look up to? Because like I said, I'm learning and still.
Well, I mean, definitely. For young people or young men like yourself trying to get into the realm, we definitely open the door to you, and we never turn any help down. And that's what Coach Baker always says. We don't turn any help down, and that's why we have so many assistant coaches.
Right.
Because anyone that we feel that can come in and help will definitely be accepted. To come on staff to actually learn. We actually last night we played against Fuquay Arena, and the head coach was the assistant coach here a year ago.
Oh, wow.
And so we've built a relationship with him, and I feel like he's played at NC State, he's played overseas, so he's gained some knowledge, but he's able to take what he's learned here as a coach, assistant coach, and go on to run his own program.
That's great. That's great. That's great. Do you have any other questions or anything for me? This is my last question. What advice would you give me as an upcoming coach?
I say just get your foot in the door, underneath someone. It's almost like a franchise. Say if you was to own a McDonald's, I prefer you to own a McDonald's before you have your own restaurant, so you can learn from other people's mistakes, what you like and what you don't like, and then you can take your own program in the direction that you want to, rather than stepping out there, on a leap of faith, and no telling what your future may be. But at least you can always go back to something that you've learned from the beginning.
That's good. Thanks a lot, man. I really appreciate it. Charles Graves, he's the head coach of JV here at Southeast Raleigh High School, and also assistant coach of the varsity level. Thank you, man.
Appreciate it. No problem at all.
Hopefully I ain't run out of time.
I didn't say this story, but last year,